right, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jason Kirsch. I am one of the clinical software instructors here at uLab, and today we are going to cover the uDesign Cloud 2.0. Um, Not sure if you've played around with this yet or not, but this is a great update. Normally they say the sequel is not as good as the original, but that is not the case at all with this latest update that we have. Here are just a list of the things we're going to cover on this webinar today. We're going to go through the retainer fast track. You can self-plan now in the cloud as well. You can export STLs if you have your own printer in the office. We are integrated with 3 scanners, so I'll show you that as well. We have a new smart RX form in our settings that I'll show you. And we have a few more tools that we'll cover as well. Before I get into the software, we in order to use the cloud, you do have to be on version 10 of uDesign. Version 10.4, as you can see here at the bottom, is the latest version that we have. But really, if you're on any version 10 software, you'll still be able to use the cloud in this new 2.0 version. If you have not updated to the version 10 yet, then you will still be able to access the cloud, but your cases are not going to sync back and forth between your desktop version and the cloud version. So it's very important that you're on version 10, just so you see the same cases, the same statuses, everything's syncing the same in your desktop version as well as in the cloud. If you are outside of the US, unfortunately, you do not have access to the cloud. Um, so I apologize about that. Before I jump into the software here, if you do have any questions, you can reach out in the chat box there. We'll go through just our software overflow or overview here. And if you have any questions, mention them in the chat and I'll cover them here at the end. All right, so this is the cloud. Nothing really changed on the patient list as far as version 1 of the cloud with version 2. Before I jump into the cases, I'm going to show you a couple things that have changed in the settings. To access the settings, you can go up here to the top right corner, click on the little person, click on settings. Under clinical settings, you now have the option to control how you want your STL files to print. You have a couple different options depending on what kind of printer or what kind of printing method you want to do. So if you're one of the offices that's just printing out the standard model of teeth and then you're going to do your own suck down on it, that's going to be this first option here for standard model. But this is where you can customize your exports. So if you want there to be a stage number on each model to let you know what stage it is, you can do that, and you can select where on what tooth you want that to appear. You can customize the label if you'd like. You can add undercut filling. We'll go into a little more detail on this when we look at a case here in a bit. And then you can also change if you prefer to have a hollow model versus a solid model, you can go there and customize these options as well, or change the print of horizontal and vertical. You can go there and select if you have, Lux Creo printer instead, you can go there and customize your settings for that as well. Under the Smart RX templates, so these are the templates that you're going to fill out when you send a case to uAssist. So uAssist is our treatment planning team, if you're not familiar with it. Whenever you send a case to uAssist, we require that you fill out a prescription form. And on that form, we're going to ask you just a series of questions. These are, if you go in here and customize this list right here, this is what will appear when you go to select one of these options on a new patient that you're uploading. All of these are the same, except for we added in the social 6 one now. So if you're only treating the upper and lower 3 to 3, this is where you can go in here and create one for that option. At the bottom of each one of these Smart RX templates is a note box here where you can type out any specific notes that you like to do for treatment planning. So, for example, if you're very particular about the way you like your cases staged, you want to expand and procline before you do rotations or anything particular that you like with your tooth movements, you can list those here. And then when you go to create that new case, it's going to automatically default to these new notes that you have here. Like I mentioned earlier, we do have scanner integration now with a couple of scanners that are on the market. We work with the three-shaped trios now, the Medit, the Allied Star. And all what this really means is that if you have one of these three scanners, you no longer need to go into your software and export the files out and then bring them into the uDesign software or cloud. Right now, these are integrated. So if you wanted to connect to the Medit, for example, if you want to connect to your Medit software, you can click on this and then click on Connect. It's going to take you to your Medit website where you can log in and it's automatically going to do the connection. And so where that's going to change is when you're creating your patient, and you'll be able to choose from a drop-down list of just to find your patient in your Medit list, and then that scan's going to automatically get transferred over onto our side for you. So you don't have to export like I mentioned. Office workflow is something that we brought in from uDesign, the uDesign desktop software that a lot of offices were using just to kind of keep track of your flow. These labels here are customizable. These are the default options that you'll see, but if you wanted to go here and change this to something different, you could. And I'll show you right now where these are as well. I'm going to go back to my patient list up here at the top. And then that workflow that I mentioned is going to be over here on the right. So if you wanted to see certain ones, you can really any of these tabs here you can click on to reorder, uh, re what's the word I'm looking for?
Filter.
Filter. Thank you, Jen.
You're
You can
welcome.
refilter by clicking on the drop-down list, and it'll change the order of what you're looking for here. All right, so let me undo that. Let me look here for. I'm going to go here and create a new patient. This is where you would see if you did do the integration with a scanner. This is where you would see up above name, there would be a little box where you could connect to your Medit, and that's where you would automatically be able to pull in scans from your scanner. Just going to create a patient here. I'm going to show you some of the new options on the workflow. It does require that you put in the name and the birth date, and then you can also assign who the patient belongs to. So you can put your doctor's name here. If you have multiple doctors in the office, we can create an account for each one. So you'll know who that patient is assigned to. And then after you fill out that information, it's going to ask you here, what do you want to do with this case? uAssist and Retainer were both in the previous version. Retainer is a little bit different. But now what you'll see here is you have the option to self-plan. So this is a really cool update. Before I jump into that, you can now do fast track retainers is what we call it. So what that means is that before this recent update, there was kind of a back and forth process with retainers. If you wanted to order them through us, is you would send our team the model, we would create just the 3D teeth for you, send it back to you to review, and then you'd have to go in there and place the order button or hit the order button to place the order. Now we've kind of removed that step in the middle. So you no longer have to send it back to review. If you wanted to just upload the scan, send it to us, have us start on the production of the retainers, that is what you can do now as of today. So it's a really cool update. I'm going to pull in a scan here to show you real quick. All right, so you'll upload your upper and lower. If you have, a second monitor, instead of clicking, you can drag and drop those files into place as well. And then from here, I'm going to click on Next, and I'm going to go to, it's going to open up the prescription form here. So in this case that I brought in does have brackets, so I do definitely want to check off that I want bracket removal for this retainer. If you have any of these other situations, a lingual bar, you want to add bite ramps, or maybe there's a missing tooth, you want to put in a pontic, you can click on any of these boxes here below. And then at the bottom here, this is where you have that option of doing either the fast track, or you can send it back to yourself to review it before you order it. With most of these options, if I click on yes, this box is not going to be defaulted on. However, if you do add in byte ramps, or if you click on Pontics, you're going to see that this button now checks. So that is really just kind of as a fail-safe, just in case you wanted to look at the Pontic before we make the retainers, then it is going to default for you to review it before you place the order. But if you trust us, we're pretty good about knowing what teeth look like and where they should go. If you want to skip that process, that review process, and just go in and straight order the retainer, you can uncheck this and then continue along the process. So I'm going to deselect that. Here's a place where you can put in any additional instructions. If you don't have anything else to mention, you can just say none or NA. And then we're going to see just a recap of what we just mentioned. So before this version, you'd get a pop-up here saying this case is being sent to uAssist. You're going to get this case back in about 3 business days for you to review. Actually, retainers were a little bit faster. Um, but now what it does is it takes you here to the order screen where you can select how many aligners or retainers you want to order here. The These are our two retainer bundles. You can do the two retainer just means essentially one upper, one lower, or if you wanted to order two uppers and zero lowers, or vice versa, you can do that. And then there's an a la carte option here at the bottom as well. I will give you a little secret is if you are planning on ordering an upper and a lower, you are going to get a better deal with the bundle versus if you go a la carte, just because this a la carte is not including the shipping fee. And also the bundles do come with premium shipping, so you're going to get them a little bit faster than if you were to go with a la carte. I'm going to go with the four retainer option here. Select that and continue. And then this is where you would select you whatever stages you want to order, you'll select. And then you can add the extra retainers here. So if I try to go next, it's going to tell me I did the four retainer bundle, but I've only selected two retainers. So I have to add on one extra on each section here. And then it'll take me to the place where I can choose the retainer coverage. Just by default, we are going to cover the full tooth, but in some situations you may not want the full 7 covered. That's where you can go here and select if you want 3/4 or half. That's where you can customize that. And then, like I mentioned, it does come with a premium shipping. If you need it done a little bit faster, you can choose the Priority Express option. And then after that, you'll review it. It's going to show you the total, and you can place the order from there. Okay. Next, I'm going to go through that self-plan option. And in my opinion, this is going to be the one of the coolest changes we've made here. I'm going to call this Jason Demo. Got a few demos in here already. If you do create a patient with the same name and same birth date, you are going to get a pop-up saying that it looks like this patient is already in the system, and it's going to ask you if you just wanted to add this new case onto that patient. All right, so we're going to click on self-plan this time. Same steps about uploading the scan. If you have any photos that you'd like to upload, that's going to appear here on the next screen. They are optional though. So since you're doing this case yourself, you can always pull up your own um, software to look at your photos. They are required if you send it to uAssist, but for self-planning, we don't need them. So I'm going to skip past those. And then at this point here, you're going to get this screen. So if we wanted to upload photos here still, it's giving us another chance. I'm going to close out of this. And this is where the software now is going to automatically go through all of the steps that you're used to doing in the desktop software. So coloring the teeth, labeling the teeth, making sure the axes are all correct. All of that now is done automatically. So you don't have to worry about doing any of those steps here anymore. It does give you a little disclaimer here that this could take up to 3 minutes to complete. Normally, for most, at least the cases that on my computer, it's taking a little bit under a minute to do. But I think it highly depends on your internet speed and also your computer specs. If you're using an older computer, it may take a little bit longer, but we don't see it really ever going over 3 minutes. The cool thing about this is that you don't have to sit here and wait. You can always go back, and it looks like mine's finishing right now. You can always go back to your patient list and keep working on other cases while this is happening. And while that's loading up, which I think it's almost finished, I wanted to show you really quick how to resolve holds if you get them. So I know this is kind of a new thing with version 10 is how to resolve holds. And so if you have if you see anything on your list that says attention needed, then that means that typically uAssist has set the case on hold. So what you can do is you can click on anywhere on this line, and it'll give you a better description here of what this hold is for. So this is saying here that the following case was placed on hold due to missing data on the upper right 7. We want to confirm if you're okay with that, or if you want coverage up to the 6s, or if you'd like to take a new scan and resubmit. So you can just click here where it says upload scans. And then it's going to show you the scan that you submitted originally. So you can take a look at it if you want to. If you wanted to, in this situation, if you wanted to keep the same scan, but you're okay with just trimming the aligners a little bit short on that 7, you can go here and leave that note. And then send the case back. So when you click update here, this is essentially releasing the hold back to the uAssist team so they can keep working on it. Um, This is a really good thing. We really recommend checking your cloud or desktop software at least one time a day, just to make sure you don't have any cases that are sitting there waiting to be looked at. Just because this is going to delay, your treatment or your aligner delivery if we keep these if we have to keep waiting. So here's another one that the UAssist team placed on hold. This is one that they put on hold after they've already built the model. So for a case like this, it's going to actually open up your treatment plan. And then over on the left-hand side, you're going to see your messages back and forth from the uAssist team. So if you get one like this, where they have either a question about your treatment plan, planning objectives, or in this case, there was a lingual retainer on the lower. Please let us know what you want to do. Do you want us to remove it or keep it? Then this is where you can just click reply. Type out your notes down below, and then click on the arrow here to send the case back to the UAssist team. All right, I'm going to go back to the case that we were uploading a minute ago. You're going to see that you'll have a new pop-up here unless you click Do Not Show This Again. But this is letting you know that here under this wrench tool, you're able to go there and view any of those things that the AI did to bring the model in. So as you can see here, it's a really nice looking model. And that is really what you should see for the most part, at least from all the testing that our engineers have done. They've found that yeah, this is working really great. But you know, it still is AI, it's still a computer program. So if in the instance where something doesn't look like it was captured correctly, this is where you can go into this wrench tool, and I'm going to go into check segmentation. If you're familiar with the uDesign desktop software, this screen here will look very familiar to you. This is where you can go there and adjust the colors. So, you know, if you have a really nice looking scan, then there's really not much you typically have to clean up. But occasionally there may be something in the scan that wasn't captured. So if I wanted to change a color on this, you can go to adjust color. And then if you'll notice that the mouse now has a red circle following it, you can click here and drag the mouse. And as soon as I let go, it's going to ask me what color do I want to make it. If I make it blue, then this is just labeling this now as part of the tooth. So this is how you can go there and fix any bleeding over. If there's bleeding over from one tooth into another, you can go there and clean it up with this. Let's say that the software, maybe you have a tooth that was just barely partially erupted, but you want to include it in the aligners. You can go to Add Tooth here. You're going to get a pop-up letting you know that if you've done a treatment plan already, then it's going to be erased here. So, you know, try to catch this early. That way you haven't worked up a whole treatment plan and we won't have to delete it. So I'm going to say yes here. If you wanted to add a tooth, let's say that this little spike back here was a tooth. I can go here and grab paint with my mouse, let go, click add tooth, and it's going to add a new tooth back here at the end. Exclude tooth is going to work the opposite. So if I click exclude tooth, you know, obviously this is not a tooth. So if I just click on it, it's going to take away this and mark it as white gingiva here. So that is how the check segmentation works. I'm going to close out of this now. If you have gone in there and, you know, added a tooth or removed a tooth, it's going to ask you to confirm that the numbering is correct. So if you need to renumber any of the teeth, you can click on the dot and change it to a different number here. Mark it as a bridge crown implant or erupting. You'll notice there isn't a save button here, so you'll just click on the X to go back to generate the model again. Come on. There we go. I'm going to show you a couple more things here in this wrench tool. This is where you can change the tooth numbering. You can make adjustments to the bite. You can, this one's pretty cool. This is check space. So if you've taken a scan and you know that there's a little space between the teeth, but the software did not capture it, this is where you can edit it in the software. So if we wanted to put a little space here between the lateral and canine, you can click on the green dot and then add in the size of the space that you want and hit apply. What that's going to do now is it's just separating the teeth a little bit to show you that new space. At the top of the screen, this is your collision check. So now if I click on this, this is going to show that, all the teeth have normal contact except for this area here that I created a space. You can always go back into that tool again and undo it or set it back to the default, and it'll bring your teeth back to how they were before. Check orientation is kind of a cool one as well. This is if the model maybe is not centered the way you want. You can go here and you can change the cant of it. You can change it really from any angle here. If you want to change the inclination of it, you can do that. And then if we go here and close out, it's going to save to that new orientation. And the last one I want to show you in this list is one that's probably used more than these other ones. Check model surface. This is a good one if you have any little artifacts or like a blemish or something that was captured in the scan that you know is not part of the tooth. So, I mean, this was a pretty good scan, so I don't really have any specific areas on here. But let's say that something was on this tooth, a little spike that you wanted to smooth off. What you would do is you would go to that check model surface button, click on cut and fill. And then if I go here and I just start clicking on that area, it's going to let me drag and paint a yellow area. So now that I have it highlighted, I can hit cut and fill, and it's just going to smooth off that surface to make it nice and flush. One other one I'm going to show you while I'm in here is this in and out tool. So this is especially more useful for those offices that are printing in-house. Um, you can go in here and you can add digital wax or digital block out, so you don't have to go there and fill the actual models with that wax when you're before you're doing the suck downs. So in this case, this canine here has this little divot in it, and if we wanted to fill that in, I could go to in and out, same thing, go to that area you want to paint, click and drag, and it'll start to paint it. And when I let go, you can click on this up and down arrow here, and you're going to see that each time I click, it's just puffing out that area a little bit more. So you can puff it out until it's nice and smooth with the rest of the tooth. And then from there, you can close out, and you're going to see that that tooth now is not going to have that little divot on there anymore. So when you go to print this, each stage, if you have multiple stages, is going to just have a nicer looking surface there for you. Another tool that we added, I'm going to jump into the tooth movements a little bit. You do have the ability to select multiple teeth. So, if you're familiar with the widget, you can use the widget on one single tooth with these arrows. But if you hold down the control key on your keyboard, you can select multiple teeth together. So if I wanted to try to align these teeth, we've now in this new version added a button over here that says alignment. If you click on alignment, you're going to see that all these teeth now are trying to follow that arch form for the patient. I'm going to show you one more tool. Let me move my zoom panel out of the way here. At the bottom, we have an I/C button. That stands for initial/current. So this is going to be your before and after. So this is just a quick way to see, just to toggle back and forth to see what changes were made. And you can see here, just by doing that, by highlighting those teeth and clicking alignment, now it's created 5 stages. You can also hit the play button down here, and it'll play through each stage like that. Or a keyboard shortcut, you can actually just hit the space bar. It'll do the same thing. So hitting space at any point will just play through the stages for you. Right. Under setup on the right here, we've got a couple of ways that you can do some adjustments. And this is going to be group movements. If you wanted to adjust the arch or do vertical adjustments, you can. In this situation that I did, I made this step here between the centrals. So what I'm going to do is go back to the beginning, and let's say that I like where this one was. I'm not so crazy, or maybe it extruded this one too far down. What we can do is we can go to this tooth. let's say you're happy with all the movements that are in the plan. You're not crazy about what it did with this particular tooth. You can either go here and you can remove that extrusion that it added just by highlighting it and typing in 0, or there's a reset button up here at the top. And if I click on this little undo reset button, it's just letting me know that it's going to undo that tooth movement. So now I still have all of my other movements. It just undid what it did to this tooth originally. So this is a very good tool. This is also where if you wanted to lock the tooth so you don't accidentally move it, you can click on the lock icon. It'll gray it out. And then you have this button over here. If this is for extractions, if you wanted to just extract this tooth from the treatment plan, you could do that as well. Underneath this icon, we have these three lines. This is going to be your staging. This is where you can add on passive aligners if you need to, where you can stage IPR. I'm going to show you that real quick because I think that's a really cool feature. So in this example, I'm just going to grab this tooth here and pull it back lingual with these arrows. And then you always want to make sure you have this icon turned on up here. This is your collision check. So you can see now that by doing this, I can see how much collision I have next to this tooth. So I've got 0.4 on both sides. But let's say this is your ideal finish and this is how much IPR you want to actually do here. Then what you can do is, after we have the treatment plan looking the way we want, you can go to Stage IPR. And this is really cool because this is going to let you know here, these red stages are telling you that we are running into a problem from the very first stage here. And you can see that if I click from 0 to 1, that now we're already running into those negative -0.1 contacts. So this is letting us know here that really we have to do at least some of this IPR from the very beginning. So if I click here on the plus sign, it's going to automatically add in my total amount, 0.5 out of 0.5. But if I want to subtract some of it out, maybe I only want to do 0.3 at this appointment, I can go here and subtract it out. And now it's letting you know that if we go with 0.3 here, then it's buying us a little more time before we have to do the rest of it. So by stage 4, we need to have the rest of that IPR done. So I can drag this little handle here to stage 4 if I want, hit plus sign, and it's going to add in the rest of the IPR here for us. If you are using uAssist, they are going to do all of this for you. This is, once again, just if you're doing a self-plan case, or maybe you want to modify the uAssist treatment plan, this is how you can go in here and restage the movements if they've been undone. I'll show you also here, I can show you right now where to see the IPR report. So if we have gone in here and we've added these little indicator lines, there's an IPR section over on the left. And this is where you can see here how much that we've planned to do. So we've done 0.3 at the beginning, 0.2 in stage 3. If you wanted to print this out or save it to your computer, you can do that here with this little printer icon. Velocity is where you can change the speed of how fast the aligners are moving. It's going to show you here the default amounts of 0.25 and 2.5. But if you want to slow things down, maybe you want to add more aligners and kind of spread the movements throughout those, you can hit this plus sign here, and it's just going to create a new stage. And now you can see the movements have slowed down a bit. So that is how you can go there and customize those. If you subtract the stages, then it's going to do the opposite. It's going to add more movement per stage. And then in the latest version also, we have added a new feature for the attachments. So if you go to your attachment section here, this is our whole list of attachments to choose. You can click on the one you want to use. Just click on it once and then click on the tooth. And you're going to see that it places that attachment on the tooth for us. You can completely customize this however you want. If you wanted to rotate it a little bit, you can. If you wanted to change the width or the height, you can use this purple line and drag it up or down. You can turn it to the side and adjust the depth as well if you'd like. But let's say you have it exactly like you want it to appear, but now you have another tooth that you want the exact same attachment on. What you can do now is you can copy and paste attachments onto other teeth. And to do that, you'll hit Control C and then click on the tooth you want to place it on. And you'll see it just does a mirror copy of what you did, including the angulation that I had before. So this is a really good way if you've spent time, customizing attachments how you want, you can hit Control C and copy them and paste them to other teeth. This is also where you can add on bite ramps if you'd like and elastics, but these are not really new to 2.0, so I'm not going to go into too much detail on these. All right, we have added another tool up in the top right corner, and that is this little hamburger menu. It's going to be right here next to the shopping cart. So shopping cart's where you'd go to place the order if you're happy with it. But next to this is a hamburger menu, and this is where you have a few different options. So the first option here is let's say that you spent time working on it, but you realize this is just going to take way more time than what I want to spend to work on. This is where you can use existing scan/plan and just submit this entire thing over to uAssist and have them finish it for you. That's the first option. This is also where you'd go to add refinements. So if you wanted to just submit a brand new scan to refinement, you can do that as well. This last option here is another one of the very cool features where you can export the STLs now to be printed out directly in-house. So what you'll do is you click on this, and I'm going to say yes to the changes that I made. It's letting me know that I'm running into collisions that I haven't fixed. So this is a just a little warning that make sure that you have the case. And for me, I think it's because I didn't stage out or I didn't add in or stage the IPR on the upper. You can see I've got a couple collisions here from when I moved the teeth. So you could hit resolve and go back and just try to expand these out a little bit to get rid of those. But this is really just a pop-up letting you know that, you may run into some issues with the teeth moving because we've got some collisions here. I'm going to continue past these though. And then this is where it's going to pull up those same steps that we looked at in your settings in the beginning. So this is where you can customize the stage number, you can customize the label if you'd like. You can get a little preview of the label to see where it appears on the model. If you want, you can click here. You can choose where you want it to go, the lingual wall, buccal wall. Just by default, it's going to be the patient's first initial followed by their last name with the stage number after it. So for example, this is the one that I have here. But let's say you wanted to move it, maybe move it away from the gums a little bit. You can just click somewhere and click again, and it's going to reposition it wherever you click. Digital fill is where you can go here and put that digital fill the undercuts if you'd like. We're automatically going to add a little bit to each model unless you come here and say no. But you can get a preview of this if you'd like. And I'm going to show you this because this is pretty cool if you are printing in-house. But you can see up here in red, this is where it's added in that little bit of blockout. You can go here and customize how much you want. So you can do a little bit more on the buckle. If I grab the slider and drag it to the right, you can see now that it's added more blockout. You can do individual teeth as well. If you don't want to do the whole anterior or posterior together, you can kind of customize it. Also, if you're missing a tooth, you can create a bridge there. So you don't have to go in there and do that with the wax either. You can customize that. But since I'm not missing any teeth in this example, it's grayed out because I there's nowhere to put a bridge. And then at the bottom, this is just where you would select the stages that you want to output. So I'm going to do just stage the first stage in the template on the upper. Oops, that's not what I meant. And then I'm going to click next to the bottom right. And then it's telling me here that it's going to prepare my download. So I'm going to say yes. And now it's going to start to export those stages here for us. Depending on how many stages you're trying to export, that's going to change really how long this waiting process is going to take. I think it takes around 8 to 10 seconds per stage. Um, so if you're trying to export a lot of stages, you may have to wait a minute or two for it to finish. But now you'll see a little preview here of what's going to be exported. And then all what you have to do here is click on output and save STL files. It's going to let you know this is where when you'll be invoiced. And then the cool thing is that this is just going to save here right to your browser. So all what you have to do is just click here on the folder, and it's going to open this up right here to where your files are. So you can take both of these files and just send them straight here to your printer. All right. Let me close out of this. I think we covered most of the tools here. I mentioned the uAssist. If you do have a uAssist case, this is how you'll go back and forth with the notes. You can see your photos and x-rays over here if you've uploaded them. I didn't in this self-plan case. And then yeah, everything else we covered. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some of the items that we're working on for our future releases here. And then we'll follow it up with a little Q&A at the end. All right. So these are some of the improvements that we're working on. So we're constantly improving, as you're seeing. We're adding more tools. It seems each week, every couple of weeks. Um, and this is the list of the ones that we have coming up here. So some of the tools that we're planning on moving are the ability to manipulate the pontics and domes. Right now, you can see them in the cloud. You just can't make any changes to them. So we know that's kind of high up on the list. We're going to add that in here pretty soon. We're going to add in the ability to manage the spaces. So those little point ones that we're seeing in the software, we're going to add in a tool where you can just hover over that point one and click on an X just to delete it and make it a little bit faster for you. We're going to add in the ability to delete the refinements. So if you've uploaded a scan or maybe you uploaded the wrong scan and you wanted to delete it, then you're going to be able to do that here pretty soon. You can just a whole list of other tools. We're adding in global movement. IDB currently is only available on the desktop app as well. We're going to add that over as well. Some of the workflow improvements, integration with EasyRx is something that we're actively looking at. So we've had a couple of meetings with them already, and we're in the process of making that work because I know a lot of offices are using EasyRx just for patient management. So you'll be able to hopefully soon be able to upload your cases and send your scans directly from EasyRx into the cloud. We're going to make your billing visibility a lot easier. We are going to eliminate the hybrid orders. So I don't know if you've seen this. It just happens occasionally to a handful of people, but if you're ordering a bundle that's maybe a mild or a moderate bundle, but you're ordering more aligners than that bundle can hold, then it divides your orders into two separate orders, and you might get two separate shipments arrive for the same patient. So we're going to change that to where even if you go over that bundle with additional aligners, that's all going to arrive in one box. And then a couple of additional changes we're adding. We're going to create a bracket removal tool that you can use in the cloud. Currently, that still works best in the desktop. And then if you have passive aligners in your order, then we're gonna notate those on the pouches as well to let you know. But lots of cool things coming. We have updates about every 4 to 8 weeks. So definitely stay tuned for the new updates. And we're more than welcome to, if you have any feedback or things that you really want to see in the software, we are really good about just listening to our customers and getting features in that you guys would like. So definitely, send us your feedback if you have any. A lot of the things I went through today, you can find actually on YouTube. So we have our own channel. It's at uLab Systems on YouTube. And if you search for that, then we have just short videos on a lot of these steps that we went through. So we've got the self-plan, how to upload a self-plan case, the alignment button, how to export. So if you forget any of these things we went through today, you can always go through on the YouTube channel and find those videos, and it'll get you there pretty quick. Without further ado, I think that was it for the lecture. So if there are any questions, Jen, this would be the time to cover them.
All right. Yeah. So we have a question in the chat just asking with the self-planned cases, can you sequence the movements? As an example, if you want to sequence vertical movements after rotational movements, but not simultaneously.
You can, yes, that is where you would, yeah, I can show you that. That might be a better like one-off kind of thing, just because it may take a minute or two to explain. But you definitely could. It's going to involve playing with the keyframes. So let me show you that real quick. So if you have a model like this, um, if you start with the movements here, let me see. Oh, this is the one that was on hold. Sorry. Shouldn't have closed out of that other one.
Yeah,
But
what's nice with as Jason's opening up another case, what's nice with uDesign Cloud is you do, like he started to mention, you do have the ability to create keyframes just like you do in the desktop software. And so he's going to show you how you can manage those movements and put them in the order at which you want to move them by utilizing the keyframe capability. So he's going to give you a little bit of an example, but of course,
yeah,
we can always schedule a one-on-one training to be able to show you, in more
yeah,
detail.
for sure. I'll just do a really quick one on this, just to give you an idea of just how it generally works. But what you'll do is, let's say in this example here, we're starting with some crowding, so you want to maybe expand before we rotate. What you could do is you could hold down the control key, select the teeth that you want to start to expand. So do it until we get some spaces created, which is what we want. You can even torque the teeth out as well if you'd like to do that instead. And then from here, it's got our 4 stages happening. If I play through, you're just going to see that expansion. You can then click on the plus sign, and this is going to create a whole separate section of movements after the movements that I've already done. So at this point, I could go in here and start to rotate the teeth, get my teeth into the final position. And you'll see here now that I've got stages 5 through 8, and there's a new dot here on 4. So this is really where that break is happening. So if I play through stages 0 to 4, you're going to see that expansion. And then stages 5 to 9 is where that new movement of that rotation is happening. So at that point, stage 9 here, if I go here and I start to move the teeth, it's really just going to affect this last section of movements that I've done. So I hope that answers your question just kind of in a quick way. But yeah, if you have certain scenarios or certain examples, then this is the way to do it, and we can definitely set up a call to look into it further.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Jason. That was really great. And thank you everyone for attending. If anyone has any questions or wants to schedule a one-on-one training session or just review, feel free to reach out to your local sales rep and they can get you in touch with the trainer, or of course you can reach out to us directly if you already have our contact. But thank you again, and I hope everybody has a great weekend.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for joining. And have a great day and great weekend. Thanks.